Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Create, the podcast where we break down the content strategy behind the world's biggest brands and creators, as well as what it takes to actually create that type of content. And we're doing things a little bit different today because we will be talking not about a specific brand or creator, but we're going to be talking about AI tools that we already use at Clipmasters that you can use when creating content, and in general, the AI advancements in content production.
Hi there, and thanks for tuning in again. Well, Yoko, I have a set of questions that I
All right.
prepared for you because at Clipmasters, you mainly handle operations, so you definitely are into the different tools that we use.
Yeah.
A little bit less than me, and we really want to focus on the type of AI tools that can help other people create content in a very seamless way. But I would first of all like to know, like, when did you start using AI tools, like personally, and what was the first AI tool you started using, and you were like, wow, for content wise.
Content wise, I'm going to say I think we've been using AI tools a lot longer than we're aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Content wise,
Like the first tool you used, and you were like, okay, this is useful.
I think it was Opus Clips.
Okay, what
Which
does
is,
it do?
well, it's basically a tool where you can input a long form video, or at least that's what it initially was. So it's a tool where you can import a long form video and the AI will select the most viral clips and give you a virality score. And in the beginning, when they started out, it was very much just that. So either a YouTube link, a Google Drive link, or an upload of a long form video, and then it spit out specific segments of that video. It didn't have the capability it has now to go and pick moments from throughout the entire recording. It was just like, oh, minute 1 till minute 2 seems like a fine clip. So it was very basic in the beginning, but now it's becoming more and more advanced. We use it at Clipmasters for specific accounts. And they've now also launched a tool where you can even upload video that doesn't have audio. So in the beginning, Opus Clips, how it worked in the back end is you upload a long form video, the tool generates a transcript, and then based on that transcript, there's probably like a language model behind it that pulls the clips and then passes the timestamps back to basically the editor or something, and then that cuts the clips. Whereas if you don't have any audio on your video, that's very hard to do. So it's a completely different technology behind it. And they're now testing that as well. So they've launched Clip Anything, where you can basically upload a video that doesn't have audio or spoken word in it, and it can still put together clips. For you.
Okay, yeah. Good. That's interesting. So it works it supports different type of languages. I remember we had an account, a podcast studio that was actually doing content in French.
Yeah.
Opus Clips supported that as well.
Yeah, it's multi-language. I don't want to, not at the top of my head how many languages they have, but it's a lot. So even if you do Dutch content, if you do French content, Spanish, you'd be able to upload it in there. It's basically the same that if you're in ChatGPT, in the same conversation, you can ask it, translate it in this. So it's really based on the transcript, at least for like the podcast clips and stuff like that. And then there's a language model behind it. And those huge language models, they come in all languages or almost all languages now. So you can use it for whatever language you use. And we use it primarily to select the clips. And then as an agency, the interesting part is that you can export it to Adobe, and then we can do our captioning and the finishing touches in Adobe, because I do feel like there is sort of a limit to like what the captions can look like in Opus Clips. Even if you have the more advanced plans, it still doesn't allow necessarily for the most creative style captions. So what we would do is we use Opus Clips to select the moments, export to Adobe Premiere Pro, and then sort of do the finishing in there.
Okay. And what other tool do we actually use at Clipmasters that comes handy? I would like to maybe have a segment here, like our own content and what we use for the different accounts that we are on.
Okay, so what do we use in house for like this podcast?
This podcast,
okay.
yeah.
And then what we do for clients. So
Clients,
let's maybe
yeah.
talk client side first. So
Yeah.
client side is definitely like Opus Clips. We have some plugins that can assist in podcast editing where it can do the multicam. And you have a bunch of them now. So it's AutoPod, AutoCut, and FireCut. I think FireCut, I don't know if it's Ali Abdal's team who developed it or he is backing it, but he's definitely attached to that. And it does a bunch of other stuff as well. So it can help you remove silences, source B-roll. Like FireCut is more of a robust plugin than some of the others. Is that necessarily better? I don't know. Sometimes it looks better to just do one thing very well than to do a bunch of things moderately well. Not to say that like it's not great advancement that these tools are making. It's just what we're noticing. Like whenever we use a tool that has all of the options, it underperforms compared to a tool that only does one thing but very well.
Yeah.
So that I would say for clients. And then of course we use 11 Labs if a client needs a voiceover. We've used Midjourney for clients to create like beautiful images and B-roll. And then now we've also started using Runway. I think primarily for our own website initially, but now like slowly the team is adapting to it as well. And that is really like, that's my favorite. So we needed to get some images for the website. I think it was for the section on our website. It has like our values. And we have 3 graphic designers on the team who were working on it and it just wasn't coming out right. Like I was like, this isn't, I have this creative idea, but it just looks like it's like bric-a-brac, which is basically like they put it together and like tried to piece it together, but it didn't look nice. And then I came across Runway and started playing around with it. And the images out there that came out of that tool were just really beautiful. It was also just really fun to play around with like their video generation. So if you have an image, you can upload it in there and tell them like, oh, I want the camera to pan this way or that way. And then like it turns your image into a video. So that was very interesting as well. And it's definitely something that we'll be using for our own content. For B-roll, for sort of more that creative storytelling on a lower budget.
Okay.
Right? So that's really like the tools I would say for post-production. Well, there's a bunch more. Like we have stuff that we use for YouTube uploads. Like the list sort of keeps going. And these aren't necessarily AI first tools, but were tools that we used long ago. And now everyone's adapting to AI. So like they're implementing AI features as well. But another thing, just in general for Clipmasters and then also for content creation, has been really important in our growth, the ability to scale with not so many people, is linking, like setting up scenarios in make.com using ChatGPT or using other language models. So, for example, for our podcast, our flow to prep episodes is almost fully automated. And then, of course, we have someone in our team fact-checking, or, well, someone in our team starts by researching brands or content creators that would be interesting to dedicate an episode about. And then she puts it in a spreadsheet. I go through the spreadsheet, and if I'm like, yeah, I like these, then I basically click yes or no. And then based on that, an entire slew of animations triggers where it does the full research on the brand. And then, of course, it depends on the prompting where you say like, hey, this is our podcast concept. This is sort of what we're trying to do. Find me relevant stuff, right? Like we're not necessarily interested in shareholders or stuff like that, but we're interested in content marketing. And so then it's a full-on spreadsheet where we ask like, build an intro, do me a breakdown of the content strategy. What would that production process look like? What are some interesting questions that we can ask each other? The actual data of like amount of followers on all of the platforms. So all of that is automated. And then at the end of it, we have someone on our team again go through it and then fact check. But it's a lot faster to do it like that and just run a fact check than having to go research each brand manually, then build all of these different segments of the show, and then have someone else go through it to make sure that the first person didn't put any errors in it. So now it's sort of like we do research, or if I find something online, sometimes you're on LinkedIn and you see like someone else on LinkedIn post, oh, this is how this and this brand did this, then I'll put it in the spreadsheet. And then Basira on our team, she does the same. And then I just go through it and I go, yes, 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 no, yes, yes, yes. And that's like in one day, we can prep, honestly, a full year of content because of the automations. And the automations take a while to set up because you have to try a prompt. Does it work? Does it not work? Should I adapt it? Is it giving me the output that I want? So building the automations took me 2 to 3 days. But then afterwards now, like we can just reuse it and we can have like an entire year worth of podcast episodes prepped. And then the issue becomes like, we need to have time to go through the prep to record the episodes. Like that's where now the bottleneck is. But other than that, like the prep in itself and making sure that it's factually correct and that it's geared towards the people that are listening to this show, like that's all like scenarios that have been created and can now run on
No, that's
autopilot.
awesome, because if I have to be honest, it really helps because I basically get the flashcards and
you just
and
show
then-
up here.
Yeah, I just show up here and then I prepare the episodes prior to that. It really helps to actually have that structure that way. So you actually did a great job on that. Because well, it makes things
well, and it's easier because you're like my co-founder and we want to do this show together, but we also are both busy. So it's easy when you just get like a one pager where it goes like, hey, this is the quick overview of the brand we'll be talking about. These are like some resources that you should check. So what we do is like we put together a brief for you, also automated by the way. And it has like, let's say up to 5 links of like, oh, maybe on the way over here, listen to this podcast episode or check with Temu, we did the Super Bowl ads. Make sure to check the Super Bowl ads. Make sure to check this most popular video or something. Then you'll have links to social channels. And then way down below, you'll have like, here is a link to your flashcards. And that will have like the breakdown of like, this is sort of our main focus for the episode. This is the breakdown of the strategy behind these content types. This is how they produce it. These are some fun questions, fun facts, tools that we can recommend to someone listening to the show. And so it makes everything
and
easier.
it's well structured, and the way it's done, I think the prompt as well is good, because I couldn't feel like it's not like something just that ChatGPT just spat out. So
we're also not using ChatGPT. Maybe that's an important thing to mention whenever you're doing research or if you want to set up an automation like this for a show. I am using Perplexity. So Perplexity is really good at more like that deep research, pulling from different articles, listing references. The only thing, and that's why someone in our team goes through it, it's a bit weird. So Perplexity has access to the internet, but at the same time, the language model that then like returns your answer is stuck in 2024. So it will find new data and then it needs to structure the answer. And it goes like, that's not possible because we're 2024. So like sometimes you'll get these glitches and then you do need like a human being to like go through it. But it's been very, very helpful for us to like prep a ton of content. And then when we were recording the Temu episode, I was like, oh, it would be really cool if there was an AI that we could just like maybe your phone or something like this that we could put on the table, or a little mic. And I think that maybe Stephen Bartlett from Diary of CEO has something similar. But it would be really cool if you can have your phone here or a little mic. It records the conversation and it basically returns like fact checks, or it gives you like additional questions. So for example, I think it was because we were having a conversation about whether or not the founder of Temu had been
had been the vice president
of
at
Wish.
Because I watched
and
a
you
video.
were like, I can't find it. And it's like, it would be really cool if we then have an AI who can like research that, or who can say like, oh, this could be a follow-up question or something like that. I think if it doesn't exist yet, should be built. Especially it can be used for TV shows, can be used for podcasts. Whenever you're interviewing someone,
Like a fact check the AI.
not just fact check, but like if you're having a conversation with someone and you're very intently listening to them, you don't necessarily want to be busy at the same time thinking of the next question to ask. And if you then have an AI here, a little screen that's like, oh, this would be a great follow-up question, or like, and then it trains on show data as well, seeing like, oh, this conversation got a lot more reach or a lot more views. Let's analyze it. And so like you can train the AI to basically fit your interview style based again on data points of like, what did the audience like, what did they not like, and then it will help you in the process, because at least for me, sometimes I catch myself already thinking of like, oh, what's the next thing I can ask? And then you miss out on part of the conversation.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, while you were saying this, my mind, I don't know if you saw my eyes, but my mind was somewhere else, because that information, especially on Temu, was so not real. I couldn't see where that person found it. Which is basically saying that Temu was founded by a guy called Joseph Huang, which is not even Joseph Huang, he's calling Huang, who was supposedly ex-vice president at Wish. And I was like, yeah, maybe a no BS, a no BS AI tool would be great. Like when you speak with someone and it just gets a light red, like, pam, pam, you're lying.
There's always going to be some bias there, because what happened is you watch like a little documentary on like Temu prior to recording the episode, and then you were like, some people are just saying whatever they want to on the internet. This guy is like claiming that the founder of Temu used to be the vice president
and
of
he got
Wish.
the name wrong as well.
And then I said, well, he may have actually found that information somewhere and we just didn't find, like, you can't know. Plus also, and I think that is also sort of there's so much information out there, but also a lot of disinformation, and we're sort of getting used to, and I do the same thing, we're sort of getting used to this idea of, I heard it on a podcast, or I heard it on TikTok, so it must be true.
It's true.
So this person probably didn't do it on purpose, but maybe they like heard it on another show and they were like, oh, yes, let me write that down. And it wasn't actually fact checked of like, is that person really the ex-vice president of Wish? Like, that's a quick Google search away. Like, you could do that. So, yeah, interesting. For me, the AI tool, fact-checking, yes. But I think even just follow-up questions or like maybe angles that you haven't thought of. And that way you can be more engaged in the conversation and actually listen to who is sitting across from you. And then you just glance and you go like, oh, yeah, that would be nice to ask now. Or, and especially if it comes to like background and research, it's just a lot to like, if you have to memorize it or remember it, even if you have flashcards. No, this is why I thought about it.
What?
With the Temu episode, we have all of this prep. And I know at the top of my head, these people spend billions in advertising, and then I couldn't find the flashcard with the actual number.
Sure.
And so I'm sitting here just like going through my flashcards. So if you have a little screen here then that go like can listen to the conversation, and I'm saying like, oh, right, how much was it again that they spent on advertising in the first year? And the thing just pops it up. And you go, oh yeah, it was 2 billion.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sitting here like a fool.
Well,
with
we
my
are in the AI world and we're still using.
Well, that's also for branding purposes.
Sure.
Yes, I was going to say you might want to hold them like that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's get back to. I wanted to know something. So we, for creatives, so creative talent, so video editor, graphic designers, do you believe they have to worry about these AI tools? Or because I personally think that there is this debate out there, which is humans versus AI, which I strongly believe that it's human with AI versus humans without AI.
Yeah, I think that's more accurate. I don't think in in a true creative space
Mm-hmm.
that humans are going to be replaced by AI altogether,
Mm-hmm.
because creativity is still like is coming up with something new.
Mm-hmm.
And AI is getting, like, at least the written AI is getting better at it, because it's basically a collective consciousness, right? Like, it's trained on collective consciousness, which is the same thing. When we are creative, we pull from all of these different things that we've seen or learned, and then we put
Yeah.
something together. So I do believe that AI is getting closer and closer
Mm-hmm.
to that, but it still needs a human being to be prompted and to be directed, and so that it can actually
Mm-hmm.
create that thing.
Create that thing.
And so, like you said, I think it's very much human who uses AI versus human who doesn't use AI. Any sort of creative profile that we hire, or if you're listening to this and you're creative and you're wondering, is AI going to take my job? No, but someone who uses AI is.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to be 10 times faster than you are. They're going to be able to iterate on ideas much faster than you. I think it's that. And even now, because we do use these AI tools to edit at Clipmasters, doesn't necessarily mean that they're better
Mm-hmm.
than when you do it manually. And that's something that we actually ran a
Right.
test on.
Yeah.
Because
Do you have a specific example?
Yeah, we have a podcast studio as our client, and we've built a team with multiple people for
Mhm.
them, and we're really looking at how can we do really good editing fast. And it's podcast, so there are plugins that we can use to do the multicam edit. And we're noticing, we ran a test after a couple of months running both the plugin and doing a manual multicam edit, and it wasn't faster. The AI
Mhm.
wasn't faster, because if you do a normal multicam edit, the studio could just send over the camera angles with stereo audio synced to the camera angles. And then you like set up a multicam project, edit manually at 2x speed whenever possible. Whereas if you use the plugin, because it is based on audio
Mhm.
input,
Mhm.
you need all of the different microphone tracks. And then you need to pull everything into your software and sync everything up, and then open the plugin and say, this camera is linked to this audio. And like, so the setup of the plugin, or at least the input to the plugin, is now taking 10 minutes, whereas the other editor is already busy
Doing
editing.
it, yeah.
And then, yes, like the cuts are made automatically, but the AI is also not like completely like fail proof. So you have to again watch the entire thing and then fix mistakes. So sometimes it switches to the wrong camera angle, or like it just does something weird in the edit. So you still have to watch the entire thing through to fix mistakes. So now you're losing even more time, because by then the person who's editing manually is already done.
Oh, sure.
So like our test showed that actually doing it manually in multicam edit at 2x speed was quicker than if you ran the plugin. But it's a different type of editing. Like if you sit behind your computer entire day and you listen to nothing but like podcast episodes at 2x and you need to manually edit them, it's a little bit more, there's more fatigue involved in your brain, because you're just like, whew, you have to really be on top of your game the entire day. It's a little bit robotic. Whereas if you use the plugin, now you're just like, I'm watching through to see if everything's all right. I'm just making corrections. So it takes the same time, but it's a different type of workload, maybe.
I'm quite interested in the adoption of our editors to these AI tools. How are they how are they adopting these tools? Because I remember you during your call, especially with podcastvideos.com, you mentioned that some editors weren't actually using those AI tools in the beginning, and then while at Clipmasters, they started using it on that specific account, and then they were like, "Oh, now I just want to do that."
So the adoption of sort of the AI tools within the team was a bit funny, because you have some people who are like super excited to try new stuff, and then you always have people in the group who are like, it's AI, it's not going to work as well, and like they're very hesitant. And then sometimes you have people like they've adapted to one tool, and now when you're like, oh, there's this other tool, it might be better, they're like, no, I'm using, like, they're very attached to their one tool, and they're like, oh, but this does it differently. And then I have to go like, well, did you watch a tutorial? Like take 20 minutes, try and figure it out. Because we're always looking for the most efficient way to
Way,
do things. And we
yeah.
really want to be using the latest tools and the ones that work the best.
Mhm.
And sometimes there's a bit of a learning curve.
Mhm.
But the funny thing, like you mentioned, is a lot of our editors were not using AI prior to joining the team, and then they adopted AI. And now, with that specific account, we've decided to switch back to manual editing because it will just eliminate most of the mistakes. And they were like, no, but I need the audio files to run my plugin.
There are
And then
no
you have to go like, it's taking the same amount of time.
Mhm.
Like, this is what's best for the client. You have to switch back. But it definitely creates a level of comfort
Mhm.
within like our team when they're using the AI. But it's the same for me. Like, I
Mhm.
use our like work version of ChatGPT
Mhm.
for everything.
Mhm.
So if I all of a sudden am not allowed to use that anymore, and
Mhm.
someone might be, well, you can do a quick Google search or you can find it here. I would be like, yeah, but like, why would I want to do
Do
that?
that.
Because I have
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Oh no, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Well, I was gonna ask any unexpected way we use AI at Clipmasters that people don't see, but I think and then I also wanted to understand the
Well,
limit.
hiring, I would say.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I don't know. Like, there's automation involved, a little bit of AI,
Mm-hmm.
but so we don't have an HR person at the
Mm-hmm.
moment, and we do get like hundreds of applicants each month.
Mm-hmm.
So even there, like, I've built an automation so that when people apply, there are certain filters applied. Based on those filters, they get like either a next step email or a rejection. Then they send in their trial edit. Like, it's a very lengthy process, but
Sure.
it barely needs to be touched by us.
Yeah.
Like, it really depends on you change the
Mm-hmm.
status on an applicant card.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, we use Rike because that's like the project management tool that we have. And then based on that, like,
Yeah.
we basically manage our entire hiring process through
Mm-hmm.
automation. And then we have a trainer who does assessments, and then you do
Mm-hmm.
interviews as well.
Yeah, but well, that's a lot more of automations. But maybe
Yeah.
let's take, for example, a content team. It's a
Yeah.
scenario content team. What would be like the go-to? I maybe want to be specific here on which content tool. Let me just take an example to make it a little bit funny.
All right.
Well, let's take the content team of a company that sells. I'm just trying to
You're scaring me now. Like, you have so much stuff around you. Just pick something.
that sells
Lamps.
shoes.
Shoes. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
well,
fashion.
fashion.
Yeah.
What would be the AI tools? How do you see, like, which AI tools do you think they could use to?
Well, whenever it's product, it's also different because if you need ad creatives
Mhm.
nowadays, like, you really have sort of two options. You either go for a creative team that can still leverage AI, right? Like, you can have a product shot and then you can use AI to create different backdrops or put that in videos and stuff like that. Or there's also like adcreative.ai. And more, I think even Meta now is like testing stuff where you just upload a product image and then like it can make
Okay.
it spin or it can change the background. So that's very like product
All right.
image
Mhm.
focused. So
Mhm.
whenever you're dealing with that sort of brand or type of business, I would say try that, especially if you're on a low budget, try that first.
Mhm.
And then really go for creative work aside from that, because that's also still like AI can do things, but it's not like wildly creative on its own.
Mhm.
The same thing with Runway. I love Runway. I can like prompt that thing all night long. It gives you beautiful results, but it's still me prompting. It's still me saying like, oh no, maybe a variation of this, or maybe tweak it like that. Or so it's still my creativity, but you just do it through a different tool. It's not like the tool can do it themselves. And so when you're looking at shoes, I would say that you need product images for ads.
Mhm.
And then, of course, like if you do any type of UGC, then you'll be using AI to do captions.
Mhm.
you can leverage AI tools to split test things.
Mhm.
I think right now, at least the AI tools that we're using, you have a lot of stuff for content creators. So you have a lot of stuff that's like multicam editing, for example, like I
Mhm.
mentioned. You have more and more tools that are like um, automatically bleep out the curse words, which is also something that we use for one of our
Yeah.
clients who's very, if you're concerned about brand safety, but you happen to be a content creator who swears a lot, then there are tools out there that can automatically bleep out the curse words. Still, again, not infallible. So you have to check trimming silences, any sort of thing like that. And then what I use myself is text-based editing.
Mhm.
So whenever I record a loom to explain something to someone on the team and I'm like, maybe take out this thing, then I'll just like highlight the text and remove that, which does come in handy if you just have to do a quick edit yourself. I'd say that's it for now. Like I think there's a lot of advancement coming, but a lot of it is still, especially when you're looking post-production wise for video, is based on audio,
Yeah.
right? So if you're saying I'm selling a shoe, like it's
Okay.
different. It's a
It's
product
different.
image that you
Yeah.
can then turn into a
Mhm.
different ad creatives or stuff like that. Whereas like if you're a brand and you're building a podcast or a content creator on YouTube, or even just like we have a tech startup
Yeah.
in the US, they do a lot of like customer interviews, HR videos, stuff like that. We can use AI for that.
Mhm. Like for scripting or
Well, no, they like
yeah.
for them, they do their scripting and even like
Yeah.
the interviewing, but you can have AI do the cleanup of the ums and the ahs. You can make it cut silences. There are more and more tools now where you can match the color grading. So if you color grade one video and they send in more from the same event, but for example, you can just go like, okay, match the color of what I did here to make it fit that brand. So it's like more the little utility things. And then the overall edit would still be done by the person and a creative.
So human like AI is never gonna replace, at least not never
I don't
say
know,
never.
never. Like, I don't know if like, I don't think it's gonna be like anytime soon.
Because I think at the end of the day, I think AI is still at the service of human beings, right? So I think whatever AI produces is still like
Well, it's being trained
is
on
still
our,
for.
that's like, it's being trained on our consciousness, like on everything that we have ever known, ever discovered, ever.
No, yeah.
So,
So it's always about what, like, even if AI is used for a business, the business sells to human beings. So at the end of the day, it's
oh
still
yeah, we're
like,
not selling to an AI. Like,
yeah. So
you
it's
never
never
know.
gonna be like, well, exactly.
Elon Musk is building robots.
Do you imagine a world where AI buys stuff, purchases stuff that they need to function better? I just thought about this right now, and it could be crazy.
Well, with like the AI agents that you can build now, I do wonder, like, maybe background, you can build AI agents in your business and you can stack them on top of each other so that basically you have an AI worker who can do complex stuff in your business.
Yeah.
And so we talked about this, like, oh, let's
Yeah,
build an
because,
AI agent for a personal assistant or AI agent to run some of our project management. And if you think about what a normal project manager or a normal personal assistant does, is they have access to your like card details because maybe they need a tool or maybe they need to make a purchase. So I do wonder like how far off we are with that, where you can actually give your AI agent your credit card details and say like, hey, if you think you would need a tool to perform certain tasks, do your analysis. This is the max you can spend. Like, I wonder.
So you're so basically getting to a point where the
They can
AI
act
has some authority,
autonomously.
but some level of authority. Like, okay, tier one, you can do it. Tier two, you need to reach out to me for me to.
Yeah, it's like they can do stuff on their own
Yeah,
to a certain
level.
degree.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Like, it's just like with
No,
the
I think it's
advancement that
something.
we're
Yeah.
seeing,
I've
it
been
is pretty
actually
insane.
exploring that recently, and I think it's even something that is feasible right now because you can actually connect your agent to your bank account and
Yeah.
basically tell him, "Hey, do a bank transfer." Like, and
Yeah.
it just hits the API, and well, I think at some point, like it's already feasible right now, and it's now up to you to
Yeah. I
give
think
those
it's
rights
just,
to.
again, like we're still, even there is like you as a person have to connect your AI agent to
Yeah.
those things. Like you have to allow it to do that. It's not like it can go rogue. Well, I don't know. But like it's not like without you providing the bank details or without you saying you're allowed to do this, that it can just be like, let me go into Jed's wallet, find his card and purchase stuff. Like that's not like where we're at right now. But again, you never know. Maybe there
Like
will be
Jed
like a
needs money,
teenage stage
or
and
Jed has too much money than he needs. Let me just give some to his sister, for example. I think Jed
would
would
be
give money to his sister, so let me just
would be very funny because then you'll have like if you have like a family of programmers, they'll just be like hacking each other's AI agents and being like, Jed loves me. He always gives me 10
Oh,
grand on my birthday.
I strongly believe to this theory where in a year's time, I strongly believe that we'll be communicating. Like we'll definitely have assistants. Like your assistant, your AI assistant is going to
Yeah.
speak to my assistant for stuff, and basically it's great because I feel like on the human side of things, we'll definitely have more time to enjoy. But
Well, I
but
think it's
again,
great as for all businesses, but especially for like smaller businesses who might not have the capital to
capital, yeah,
hire. If you know how to build AI agents, like you can
definitely
well, not replace people on your
replace,
team. That sounds really bad, but like you could
do a lot
do
with
a
less
lot with less
resources.
resources, which I think is lovely. And then of course, like for me, from a content perspective, it gives people so much more opportunity because not everyone is a good researcher. Not everyone writes great intros for YouTube, for example. Not everyone like knows how to do that. But now with AI, the
Then,
AI can assist you.
but since now I'm asking myself the following question. Um, since everyone is going to be capable of doing that, where is it? Where is the difference going to come in terms of content? Like, how would someone make a difference? Because we all have the same tools.
Well, the thing is, even before AI, we always had the same tools. Like anyone can go and purchase cameras and anyone can learn how to video edit and anyone
you
like
needed talents. Like you needed to hire someone that had the
no, but
skills.
even now, like with YouTube, like any sort of skills you can learn online, but that doesn't mean people do that. Sort of goes back to our conversation that we had about like my stylist friend who's in the industry for 20 years. She's been sending people links to purchase clothing for 20 years and didn't know that she could send affiliate links. It's there. You can do it, right? And the same thing with content is that even though all of these things are possible, the majority of the people that I talk to and I tell them, like, this is the flow I built, this is how we prep podcasts, how we do research, how we bulk create things, they don't know how to do that. Or they know how to do it, like they know of it, like they know it's possible, but now, oh, the technical skill to go and do it. So then you'll see an entire different industry emerge where you'll have people who are great at building AI agents who can now go and sell that. You'll have content agencies like your own who are like, yes, we can help you prep podcasts. And then we build the flow once and it does it on autopilot. Like you'll see new opportunities emerge where people can monetize that.
My question was a little bit different, but it's fine because I wanted to know, like, okay, it might take, let's say, 4 companies who know which tools they need to use, which AI tools they need to use for their content creation. What would differentiate each of them in terms of quality? Now that everyone will be able to create more and more content.
Well, I think it's still going to be about brand. It's still the way that you prompt an AI is still gonna also depend, affect the output.
The singularity of prompting.
And then even though like we have all of this prep, we could give these flashcards to other people and they'll create a different episode. Sure. It's not a full script. It's like, hey, here is all the background info you need to have a great conversation about this topic. And then the people who are actually on screen will still affect the outcome of the video or the episode.
Okay.
Right? So there are so many variables that go into creating content that it's going to be very hard to like be like, oh, that's exactly the same, or like, oh, this AI tool now gave two completely different companies the exact same script. Like if you prompt it properly, that won't happen. And even for us, like if it writes an intro and we're like, oh, that's not really how we would speak, we would change it a little bit. You have to look at it as an assist, not as the final product.
The final product. Okay.
In my opinion, I think it does come down to like really good prompting and being thoughtful in how you set up the automations. Because if you just go with like, write me an intro for TikTok about this topic and you don't do any back and forth or any extras, you're going to get a very generic answer. Whereas our prompts go very in depth. Like every prompt is like, this is who you are. Like that you tell the AI, you're a podcast researcher, you're experienced in writing X, Y, and Z. This is the background on the show that we're producing. This is our target listener. We talk about this, we don't talk about this. So you give it a lot of information. And then of course, like over time, you can even train it further and further and go like, these are 100 intros that we've done. Write something similar, but then for this brand.
Okay. So at Clipmasters, we are pro AI. Definitely.
Well, I'm pro AI in general. And when possible, yes, we'll use it. But we also don't fear just going the manual route if that makes more sense.
Yeah, sometimes it's even more efficient because you sometimes find creative people who kill their creativity just by using AI.
Yeah.
When you're like, okay, you could have done it by yourself. You like, so the way of translating that for an AI, like, so it's very complicated for people to use AI today because they would just ask stuff. I'm thinking about my sister here specifically, sorry. She would just like, you would read this, like you read what she would write and you would definitely understand that it was ChatGPT because she feels like, okay, it's done, while she's more creative than that.
But that again is when you forget that AI is supposed to be an assistant,
not do the job,
then you get those types of answers. And we see that all the time with people applying at Clipmasters and they forget to like remove the variables that ChatGPT gives you. Like it's like it will have these brackets like insert business name and like it's not inserted. Then it's like kind regards, insert your name, and they didn't even like change that. Then for me that's an immediate no. I'm like but again, it's people forgetting that it's supposed to be an assistant. My conversations with ChatGPT, you know this, like I'll prompt it for something very in depth and then I'll pick it apart and go like maybe for this, and this, and then like it's basically helping me be more creative than I am. And it's like being in a room with 10 other people brainstorming and going, oh, but I thought I saw it like this. What do you think of this? And then you go back and forth and then you use what you've figured out collectively. Yeah, that's how I use it.
Okay. Is there anything I didn't talk about that you feel would be worth for someone listening to us?
Well, subscribe. We put a lot of effort into this show, even though we use AI to prep a lot of it. And subscribe on whatever platform you're watching or listening to this show. Let us know if there are specific brands that you want us to do a breakdown on, or creators. If there are any sort of content-related questions you have, production-related questions that you have, we can answer those. So just drop them in the comments. And let us know, or let me know, if you want a full walkthrough tutorial on how I built the Create podcast automations, because I'm more than willing to do that.
Yeah. We can share that.
You want to watch it?
No. I'm like, we can give it to anyone who needs it. So, great. Awesome.
Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you in the next one.